Hello, and welcome back to the Community-21 series. This week, we're meeting with Bronagh and her friends in the BCRC as she works as the community navigator for older people in the Causeway Coastal Glens area. She's going to talk about how the pandemic has been difficult for older people, what she's doing to work with them across traditional divides to build a greater sense of community during the pandemic, and also, as well as her plans for after the pandemic. Here's what they all had to say. Hello, thanks for having us here today. I wanted to see if you just start out telling us a bit about yourselves and your organizations and some of the work you're undertaking.
You want to go first, Bronagh?
Yeah, my name's Bronagh McCrorry. I'm community navigator for older people in the Causeway area. I'm based at Building Communities Resource Centre in Ballymoney. The project is about helping older people to feel more connected in the community, and also it's about helping the Northern Health and Social Care Trust to connect with community and voluntary services and hopefully increase the well-being of older people.
My name is Frankie Cunningham. I always say current chair of Derwent District Community Association. There's a population of, depends what government website you're on, but this sort of says there's about 1,495 of a population within the area. Our remit is probably to provide, sorry, brain freeze again.
Oh, keep going, it's all right.
Our basically remit, our purpose within the community is we provide an umbrella organisation which includes things to do with tourism, the elderly, youth networks and all that there, So again, that's some of the issues that we
Connecting
cover.
people together. Yeah.
I don't know where you want me to go with this now, but I've been involved within the community sector since 1993. We acquired a community let from the Housing Executive through a scheme that they operate called Peppercorn, where legally we're required to pay the Housing Executive a penny a year so they retain ownership. Within that, we provide a printing service. We also have now, through one of the Peace Forward initiatives, a small community library and museum, which was still open during the pandemic, but it was managed through, adhering to government restrictions and that there. But
can I ask you a question there? Have you ever been late on your payments to the housing executive on
that? We've never paid them, so we're looking to take it over.
Good for you.
Yeah, but again, it's like similar to the other ladies. We provide the same kind of services. Recently we formed a community forum which encompasses 4 different other villages within the Northampton area. It's actually called Northampton Villages Forum, which comprises of Derwent, Mosside, Armoy, Bushmills and Stronocombe. Very similar, when we sit around the table or do our Zoom meetings now, what we realise very quickly, we all have the same problems. There's a lot of common themes running through, so again, collectively with the help of BCRC, we've been holding meetings. We've had meetings with the junior ministers, MLAs, councillors. So again, it's out there. So again, we're trying to address a lot of the local issues. It's happening again before and after pandemic, because we realise that the COVID is going to leave a legacy. And it's how we're going to address that, collectively.
That's great. It sounds like you're making connections between different rural villages and.
Well, again, it's historically, I'm on my chair now, so historically, the village of Derwent has a historic link with the village of Lochgale, which would be single identity through the legacy of Lord Macartney, who was the landlord of Derwent and Lochgale. So again, we've had joint projects through St Patrick's Primary School in Lochgale and William Pickerton Primary School in Derwent. So we've had again, I'm repeat myself. Like we've had various projects where the children have come together. You know what I mean? I could start.
Sort of like shared history projects.
Yeah,
and,
more or less. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And it's again, you know, like there's a song out there somewhere. The children are our future. Teach them well and let them see the. I can't remember. You can edit that back there.
We'll get you to sing it at the end.
I'm thinking, well, that's me waffling here.
Bronagh, can I? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you're right.
Just going to go to Bronagh here on the next question. Do you want to tell us a bit about your work pre-COVID, some of the projects you're engaged with, how that's been impacted by COVID, and how you've had to adapt over this time?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've been in post as community navigator. It'll be 7 years in August, and it was a new project. It was a pilot that was running with the Northern Trust and the community. I suppose the difference with me and the other people that we've been chatting to is I'm a paid worker. Everyone else is working voluntarily, which is so commendable. I can't say that myself. I suppose the project itself is it's broken down into a number of different parts. So I would work with social workers and people that are healthcare professionals, and they would give me referrals for people, older people in the community that need to develop a support network, and then I would connect with the older people and refer them on to different services. So some of those might be, you know, something that maybe Dervik Community Association is providing, those types of things. It could be home safety, home security, just a lot. It could be anything. It's kind of like an Ask Me Anything service, which is tough going and fun at times as well. I get all sorts of requests. But yes, that's one part of it. Then as well as that, I would support community groups with funding. So I would work a lot with Dunloy Development Association to help get them funding to run their luncheon club, things like that. There's also online directory of services for older people that I would keep up to date as well. So there's lots of different parts to the job, and the referral services over the phone. So that element didn't really change whenever COVID hit. I suppose the types of referrals that I was getting definitely changed, and the needs of the older people changed so much because they weren't able to leave their homes. And there were some very, just dire situations that people were in. One of the things, one of the referrals that got me to start off with was a lady who was just absolutely in tears because she didn't have dog food to feed her dog. I just thought that was just shocking. So it was really like about, supporting those people. They were having to face things that they've never faced anything like before. And initially I worked with my manager at BCRC to develop a directory of all the different COVID support services, and we updated the directory of shops that deliver locally as well to make sure that those things weren't happening, that people were getting the things that were essential to them, to their well-being, delivered to them, things like prescriptions as well, those types of services too. So initially it was really about helping people to live independently at home with all that was going on. So that was the start of it really. We went to then doing packs, all sorts of different packs to keep people entertained. Once everything was kind of all in place, they were then looking to, deal with the boredom, because we all experienced that, Mm-hmm. So those types of things were more fun, and I hope that I helped in some way.
Build their spirits up.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, working with older people in the pandemic, you must have seen some pretty difficult situations, I can't imagine. But were there some positive stories or some things that inspired you that you saw from the community over the pandemic? Questions open to both of you.
I think for me, the big thing about it was working with the Northern Trust. We're really promoting the community and voluntary sector and the benefits that come from being in partnership with them. And the community and voluntary sector really stepped up to the bar, and I think they, without the community and voluntary sector, I think the statutory services wouldn't have been able to cope with the demands that there were. So groups appeared from nowhere. People that were off on furlough, volunteered to support older people. There was just massive community spirit, and a lot of those things have continued now that things are easing, and that's just really positive.
Well, again, within my own community, if you know the village of Derby at all, even if you go back to the 1911 census, some of the names it's recorded on the 1911 census are still prevalent, within the community today, and there's always been that good connection, within the village, if you go back into history, there's about 7 or 8 established families where they made up the core community, and there's always been a good rapport, within that. So again, it was the families that were willing to provide that additional help, within the community, again, similar to Marie there and Marlon there, through BCRC, we provide a community newsletter. And from that, again, through Bronagh, we were able to provide telephone numbers, for additional service providers, So again, people were willing to more or less jump in the cars, and volunteer to provide, food parcels and take people for taxis down to Ballymoney or Coleraine, if they had appointments. Again, you don't realise what you actually have within your community until something hits a proverbial, So again, it's good, and it warms the heart, because you think you're isolated, but when you actually, because of close proximity of the villages and the other communities, because there's that network there already, you realise that we all have the same problems, the same concerns, the same issues, So again, it's identifying that and working together, and BCRC, me being the chair of it, I have to say this, they do provide a brilliant service, to the community. Again, as Bronagh has already alluded to, 95% of people come through the doors here are all volunteers. Again, one of the Peace Forward initiatives, one of the exercises that we had to do within that, they actually identified that the voluntary sector within Causeway Coast and Glens council area provide about £16 million to the local economy.
That's amazing.
So again, it's a good news story, but it's not publicised, again, we're probably guilty of it, but no, there's a lot of positive news out there, which I'm very glad of,
That's excellent to hear. Some of that feedback you're talking about within the council area, absolutely. So what are your plans post-COVID? Do you think in some ways COVID may have a positive influence on where we go from here, and maybe some of the strategies you may take to help communities?
Yeah, I think, for example, usually the Community Navigator project would have held wellbeing in winter events, and there would have been some people that were kind of excluded from those events because of their health. They wouldn't have been able to get out to them. And last year, because we couldn't hold the events, we made packs, and so people that normally wouldn't have benefited from those events were then able to, find out some information that we might have been, telling them at the events, and they got to kind of take part in that. So now we're thinking going forward for this year that we might be able to have an event. There may not be as many people there, but also, we can provide packs for those people that wouldn't be able to make it. So I just feel like it's been a lot more inclusive in that things like that, we haven't had to exclude those people, or Zoom, doing Zoom events and connecting with people that way. We've been able to widen the reach of the service and involve people that can't leave the house anyway and things like that. So I think those have been positives, and just the connections that have been made as well.
Yeah, again, as a community, I think one of the positive news, or not positive news, but one of the positive outcomes that came from COVID was now, as a community, we've identified nearly everybody within the village and surrounding areas that maybe has an issue. Now it's been recorded You know, so again, we can target people more. You know, I mean, again, like with the help of BCRC, like we've again acquired funding through Community Foundation for Northern Ireland. So again, we've provided, this is post-COVID, so we provided picnic tables, benches, planters. So again, we're providing more shared space within the village for people to actually come and meet post-COVID. Again, one of the halls in the village, which would have been classed as single identity, which is the local Orange Hall, it's more open now. There's a youth network now been there's a youth network. Although it hasn't been meeting yet, but they've acquired funding through Awards for All and the Northern Ireland Housing Set of Cohesion Unit. So again, we're working with BCRC. We've identified funding through DFA, Department for Foreign Affairs in Dublin, and then Community Relations Council. So we're looking at training programs, educational, community education, where we're going to take the young kids down to Glasnevin Cemetery in Dublin. We're working with a fella called Stuart McLean in Newton Cunningham in Donegal, looking at, again, it's single identity work, but looking how, as a single identity group in the Republic, how they manage, you know, like working with different communities, you know. So there's a lot of positive work has arose from the pandemic, you know, so, you know, it's made us more aware, I think.
That's great to hear. I'm going to finish with one more question here. What's your message for the community at this time?
Again, I always use this, you know, like, but never give up. You know, I mean, like, I know it's been 2 years now, like March 2019, I think, but again, you know, like, but if there's a message to carry, as I say, never give up. You know, like, we now, sorry, you go to Bronagh, I've lost me.
No, never give up is a great message.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one. And Bronagh, yourself?
I think just keep doing what you're doing, and sing your own praises more. I think everyone here is probably guilty of not doing that, and if anything, we've learned the value of community work, and I think people just need to, like, there's been a lot of obstacles has got in the way and everyone has got around them. I would hate for this to be a reason why groups don't continue or fold, you know, so just keep going and be proud of yourself for what you've done.
Yeah, basically, if I can add a bit to that, you know, like, again, as I said before, never give up, but also remember, you know, like, that you're never alone. You know, I mean, lift the phone. I mean, there's always someone there to help out. You know, so again, that the future's bright. Sorry, I know it's just. I know that can all be edited, but
no, I just want to say, I feel like my heart is warmed through this interview. It's amazing to see that although COVID was very negative, it sounds like you actually brought a lot of communities together across Causeway Coast and Glens, and that's very commendable. And you're obviously a huge influence and part of that happening. So thank you.
You know, like, again, I used to be involved in politics on the periphery of it. You know, I was a member of Progressive Unionist Party. You know what I mean? And I would study parts of conflict, but like nearly every academic or people that research the troubles will tell you what got us through a lot of it was our sense of humour. You know what I mean? So again, like, we haven't lost our sense of humour, you know, and I think that's a kind of thing that helps us through a lot of issues and concerns too.
Never give up and remember to laugh.
You're right. You're right.
There's always laughing, Frankie's about.
And buy a cheap drink.
100%.